7 years ago, I left my job at the United States International Development Agency. Why I'm saying this? Because frankly speaking, back then, this didn't happen very often. And even now, many of my former colleagues continue working at USAID. Their years with the agency approaching a decade and more. So why would an employee who was nominated the best foreign service national in 2003, and was the first one to get the award in almost 10 years since the agency started its operations, leave a secure, professionally rewarding and challenging job with sufficient compensation? If you asked my friends and colleagues, some would say I was having certain personal disagreements. The others would say I wasn't happy with the career growth at the agency, and yet the third would point out to the fact that I was taking even a better job with another US-based international agency. And probably all of them wouldn't be far from the truth, even those who were looking at me as if I were crazy. When I myself take a deeper look into what triggered my actions then, I sensed something else, an urge to change what I was doing and, most importantly, how I was doing it. In my almost 4 years with the agency, I have built up skills and competencies that would be my foundation in the years to come. Since then, it has been always with a sense of pride and accomplishment that I have introduced myself as a former USAID employee. And without failure, I have noticed the respect and acknowledgement in the eyes of those to whom I was saying this. But also, since then, I have never regretted the fact that I have left the agency and opted for more shorter term and probably less prestigious jobs. I was very well versed in US foreign policy priorities, USAID Armenia strategic goals, automated directive systems, and standardized indicators, and all the other aspects of the job which were required from really dedicated and effective US government employee, even a local one. So why is it I wasn't feeling that happy? The answer is not an easy one, but to me, it starts with those heavy, bullet-protected doors to the new US Embassy compound in Yerevan. Every single day I opened those doors to enter my work area, I had this feeling very similar to the one when a plane lands into a foreign country. You find yourself in a space which is probably much better than your familiar surrounding. It opens up so much to explore, it broadens your outlook, but it is also so different from what remains there behind those doors. The reality you are trying to change remains outside, while inside, a group of people who call themselves cognizant technical officers develop programs, solicit proposals, select US-based contractors to implement those programs, and they have countless meetings and occasional site visits to manage the process. Is there anything wrong with this? Definitely no. Throughout the years, this has helped Armenia to build up its banking and property ownership systems, enhance the health and education sectors, supported the emergence of the civil society and democracy institutions, and it can be undermined in no way. But to me, there was this growing sense of detachment from reality, from people whose lives and work we were supposed to influence, be it local or national level officials, doctors or teachers, activists or journalists, simple farmers or disabled people. There was this ever-nagging question whether what we did was needed in reality or existed in our sterile world within those doors. And this is how and when I decided to start on a journey back to Armenia as it was and it is. And I should confess today that it was frightening first, disillusioning at times, motivating and invigorating at other times, but nonetheless worthwhile undertaking to get closer and closer to the realities of your own country, to the people who you wanted to impact through your work and efforts. From here on, my career took me to two radically different development agencies, Millennium Challenge Account Armenia Program and Children of Armenia Fund. The question that I ask today, 7 years later, whether I feel more comfortable with the work I do or more confident in its importance, result, or impact. The answer is yes and no. At MCA Armenia, together with my colleagues, local Armenian professionals, we managed an investment of over $150 million. We took full responsibility for all its aspects. Concepts like country ownership and empowerment were our daily slogans to follow. And interestingly, for our US colleagues, adherence to those was even more important than to some of us. 5 years of 10 to 12 hours workdays are invested into this program by an army of local and international experts to secure the success of this overwhelming experiment. During this time, me and my colleagues have spent more time in the communities and villages of Armenia than probably we did before in our entire collective lives. And this is why I really get upset when people around me, like family, friends, new colleagues, ask with unhidden skepticism whether we in reality physically changed over 60,000 farmers or built around 800 kilometers of canals. Yes, we did. And if these impressive outputs are any indication of success, then the program was definitely a success. But why is it that several months after the program was completed, I summarized it for myself in one short sentence: great implementation, not such great impact. Some would think that this was triggered by the findings of impact evaluation, which in a nutshell indicate that, let's say, only a very small percentage of farmers is using the taught technologies. Others would argue that the impact of the infrastructure investment is yet to be assessed in the years to come. And yet the third would say that the increase in agricultural profit is not immediately traceable. Fair enough. But it's not these numbers or testimonies that guide my thinking on the matter. It's once again a sense of an insider that brings up an array of questions. Did we always reach out to small farmers through our infrastructure projects, or did they in some cases benefit bigger landowners? Why is it that thousands and thousands of farmers who we provided the training in reality did not feel the appeal of the training, but rather saw it as a way to access the program's credit funds? Why is it that the water system managers value the equipment and the machinery we provide to them, but merely tolerate the capacity building activities? The list of these whys is really big and could be continued, but honestly speaking, it didn't take me the whole entire 5 years to figure it out that shortening the distance to the real world or immediate beneficiaries is not the surest way of success of your work or satisfaction from it. I came closest to the immediate recipients of development assistance at my current work at Children of Armenia Fund, COAF. COAF is an interesting organization. It's involved in all aspects of community development, starting from fundraising to program design and implementation, to field work, to everyday direct communication with our beneficiaries, adults and children alike. At COAF, we feel the need to constantly be out in the field. For some, it's daily routine. For others, it's not less than weekly visits. And probably this is why that here we have the sense that our rewards and disappointments are bigger in number and deeper in intensity. Because how can one help feeling overjoyed when hundreds and hundreds of children enter this new school, which is the only bright spot in the community, both directly and figuratively? How can one help feeling hopeful when the rural male resident who was ready to leave Armenia is starting a new business with the funds provided by co-op. How can one help feeling proud when school students start their own projects with our funds and start and implement their own project with the support from co-op? Does this mean I have found the perfect, ideal setting for delivering development assistance? Far from it. The never-ending questions do not leave me alone here as well. Why is it that you give the community this new shiny school, unseen in its type, even in Yerevan, and then they ask you for a highlighter to use on the writing walls of the schools? Why is it that the principal of the school where the children have implemented this project and planted the trees is asking for money to pay for irrigation fees? Why is it that over and over again we face the so-called Aghtsk variant dilemma? What it is? It's when you go into the community, officials at all levels are open to cooperation, open to ideas, but when they get what they want, and in 99% of cases that's infrastructure, there is never the same level of commitment or cooperation. Without any deep analysis, it's clear that all these why questions have to do with the impact of the work. There is no way that we can separate them from questions about what we do, how we do it, for whom. I have no ability or ambition to answer all these questions, but I also believe that there is no need to do that. What we need to do is to recognize that these questions lie in the heart of what we do. And if we continue asking them and giving honest answers, we will become better change makers, and then probably we will have a chance to success. But we will never find answers if development becomes a mere business, a source of income and employment, and if we forget that helping others, changing status quo, and bringing improvement lies in the core of what we do. I want to end this talk by a story which happened to me a few days ago. Together with my boss, I went to see a colleague, a former USAID colleague, who has also left the agency and now has a very interesting and important job. Back in 2004, when co-op just started its work in Armenia, USAID was supporting its efforts, and she and I were involved at some superficial level. She mentioned this to my boss, and then she said something which I find difficult to take in even today. She said, you know, when I first learned about co-op, I thought in this modern world of ours, when all the responses are global, why was co-op providing a local response? I didn't say anything to her at that moment. But I thought of the crumbling rural roads and school buildings, of the children who have no toothbrushes, of the farmers who are fighting the stone-rich soil on an everyday basis. And I thought to myself, I'm so glad I have gone almost a full circle. I would like to hope that those of us who travel this road are much better change makers, because we're simply a little bit more passionate, but also better grounded in reality. We are more open-minded, but also more focused. We are better visionaries, but we are also more effective implementers. And personally, I would have never missed any step of it. Thank you.